You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protein Machining, and this week, joined as always with my catch-up co-host, Chris Zapatini. What is going on, dude?
Just living the dream in Boise, baby.
New background, new shop, all that stuff.
Yeah. It stormed fucking crazy last night. It was wild. Like in some neighborhoods, it was raining so much that it was like a flash flood kind of, but it was also hailing, so it was like a sheet of ice, like little ice balls, like floating down the street. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
It was funny. You sent me those videos, and like my brain just wasn't braining. And then I saw Dennis's story of I was like, oh, it's raining where Dennis is too. And I was like, yeah, they're in the same place. Dumbass.
We're pretty close together. Yeah, we're within like 15 miles of each other, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then, went and checked out those machines that are sitting outside. And
you mean the scrap metal that's sitting outside?
The scrap metal. I sent because one of them is a Tsugami, like that's fully uncovered and like the spindle's exposed and the relays are exposed. And I sent that to like the lady that we talked to at Tsugami, and I was like, you want to see something sad? And it is so sad. And then this morning, after it rained a bunch, I went and checked it out, and I was texting Michael Morton. I was like, because the coolant tanks for some of them are like fully open and like there's oil in them, but it rained a lot, and now there's like rainbow puddles. I was like, and they're sitting on soil, not like concrete or anything. So it's like, I can't. I'm surprised that the building owner is like okay with that.
He shouldn't be. I mean, right. The cost of a storage unit would have been nothing compared to the damage that's now been done to those.
Well, they're all worthless. Yeah, like I was saying, like we were at HFO Boise's demo days, which was cool. But like everybody who was like everybody knows those machines are like, they're worthless. One of the salesmen was like, I'd really like the wire to put in my backyard as a yard art. So hilarious. But I think
turn it into a bird bath.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The guy who owns the building where the machines are at bought their Haas machines. And so I think he's just I think he bought them direct. So he's probably like, well, I'll take the rent of you contaminating my soil off of the cost of these machines or whatever. Very funny. But yeah, that's a so situation. Sad. And I texted them like, hey, you guys probably want to cover these up. Like, unless your plan is to scrap them, which like actually they couldn't scrap them now, or they wouldn't take the coolant tanks away because they're full of like hazardous waste. You'd have to get that disposed of. Right. But like it's like BMW, the rigger, they'll just take them for free. Like,
of course,
they took the Matsura for free. There's like, oh, we'll scrap it, but probably not now that they're full of water and oil and coolant and stuff. So yeah, that's like just yesterday and today. But I've been traveling a fucking lot lately. I haven't been traveling like this in a while, Yeah,
because it's again, unfortunately, been a little over a month since we talked last. It's crazy. Like when I released the last catch up, and I was like, this is already old now at this point.
Yeah, so. But I mean, to be fair, it was like we're recording a lot sooner than we did the last time. I think it was like a 3-month break or something like that.
It was ridiculous. Yeah,
and I mean, to be fair to all the people that like love to hear me, Justin and I have like 5. I guess now he released the first episode of My Tool Library is Better Than Yours yesterday.
Yeah. Second one goes today.
4 more after that, I think.
Nice.
And I think like his plan, because the first couple are really short, is he's just going to release the first 3 like day, or that's what I'm assuming that's what the plan is.
That's what he has been. Yeah, we've been talking and going over. It's funny, like I'm so used to my editing process that it feels like it's like completely low lift and very little to do, and then like to walk somebody else through it and realize all of the ways you can screw it up that I have done in the past and then had to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess there's a little bit more involved than I thought.
Right. He was like, he said, we were talking this morning and he was like, he said he edited the first episode like 4 times or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, so when are you vibe coding your own editing software? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've also been crazy busy. Like,
Yeah.
We've all,
yeah, we'll get into it when I get into my list. But yeah, I feel bad that I have not released more episodes, but like at the same time, I just can't. Like we've just been so slammed that I've done my best. You know, that's kind of what it is.
That's where I think like the second show down the rabbit hole, because like Justin is busy, but he's more of a free agent at the moment, you know? So, and we have some canned and like some other ideas. I'm sure he's going to have more people on. And then I guess you have a canned episode that may or may not come out.
It'll come out. I just don't know when. I'm waiting on them to say I can.
Yeah.
It's a really good, I cannot wait to release it because it was a really good one. And talking to Ed was fantastic. I'm just waiting, you know.
I was bummed when I went to Kinematic. He wasn't there. He was like visiting a customer. Yeah. But their R&D shop was pretty cool. They got some nice shit in there. It was interesting, you know, when I was like, hey, can you give me this in a step file? And they're like, I don't know if I can. Like, all right. all right. But then we got it sorted more or less, and that was last weekend, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And then I hung out with Justin.
I guess let's step it back.
Yeah.
Mid-May was the last time we spoke.
I was in
before the last, or just after the last time we spoke?
I was in California. I was mostly doing California stuff. That was an interesting project. Like we cut, I think I've mentioned like we cut like 60 hours out of the part or something like that. We blew up a shunt hydraulic holder. Like we determined that what we thought was like flash rust or whatever was actually the hydraulic fluid that came out of the holder.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was hydraulic fluid. And so,
because didn't it sit on like running for 30 hours or something straight? Just like the machine, which is crazy. Like,
they just feed held it and just let it go. And it's like, okay, but we got that sorted. We just went to a side lock holder, you know, and that worked. Like that was so minty. Like we got 4 or 5 hours of roughing instead of like just over 2.5, like very predictably. We also, I've never really seen this before, but I think because like we were kind of like bouncing the hydraulic holder and like talking to the shunt guy at the show, he's like you can rough with hydraulics in aluminum, non-ferrous stuff. He's like, when you start to get into, and like maybe some like steel, but he's like, as soon as you get into like Hostaloy, Inconel, titanium, like it just, the like forces on the tool, like start to put a lot of stress on the holder and it's not good. So he's like, we have other shit for that. I was like, oh, I don't remember what he called it. Like, I've never heard of it, but it's like, we just use side locks, you know, and that, or power grip, but it's hard to get somebody into power grip if they don't already have it, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's like, hey, do you want to spend $30,000 to get this part running?
Right. I mean, and in that case, like we cut 60, we went from 72 hours to 12 hours. Like it's kind of a big.
Oh, I think the math is there. But knowing your customers, it's pretty rare that you can get them to see the objective math.
Yeah.
Versus just the like emotional, like, what do you mean I got to spend $30,000 on holders? And it's like, well.
Yeah. It is like when we have longer relationships with customers like Vitesse, who's in Massachusetts and California and like some other places, we've gotten to a point with them where it's like, give me, you know, I need $10,000 to buy tools. This is like roughly what we need. This is what we're going to buy. And they're just like, okay, here. And they just give it to us and then we just buy what we need to buy.
Well, because they know that you're saving them millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
they're like that's a drop in the bucket. They're like, oh, do you want 0.1% of our savings this year to buy tooling to do that? Right. Yeah, sure. Whatever.
It's gotten way better. They've had some personnel changes, I'll say, that has made our life a lot easier. And
oh boy.
Yeah. Which has been good. But yeah, so I was in California. We did that. We wrapped that up.
Oh, total side note too. You can't do what they did on a Hermla, at least not stock. It will error out and stop the spindle after a certain amount of time with zero load.
Oh, interesting.
Because I've done that before where like I've put it on feed hold and then gone to like grab a drink or something and then got sidetracked and come back and I'm like, why is everything stopped? And there's an alarm that says like time limit exceeded with zero spindle load.
Yeah. I like that. There's got to be, somebody could probably do that with Fanic if they felt like it. I wonder if that's like a Heidenhain thing or a Hermla thing, you know?
It's tough for me to say that because I only have, my only Heidenhain experience is Hermlas. So it's like, to me, everything is a Hermla thing or both, you know, it's like, I can't pick them apart.
James Mayette has a pretty like nuanced take on this because he recently worked. I mean, he's not a big. I would say not a big Heidenhain guy is like understating how he feels about Heidenhain. But he just did like not too long ago a customer training and like post development, I guess, for Camplete or whatever on a 5-axis bridge mill that had a TNC. I think it was a 640. Maybe it was a 7. But I think it was one of those two. And he was like, he's like, there's a lot of shit on here that there is a lot that the builder matters on. And he found that out because he's like, like somebody was like, on Heidenhain, it does all this stuff. And it's like, this machine doesn't do that. So it's like, are you saying the builder matters? But I think like the floor to ceiling of Heidenhain is like much narrower than it is on a Fanic. Is more or less what it comes down to is like, because it is specifically designed for multi-axis machining, like there's a lot more that I can transition into Kinematic Sauce by saying like a lot of the stuff that we're doing is just compensation tables that are built into the Heidenhain control.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like completely unnecessary on a Heidenhain. I mean, we could probably try and do it, but our focus is on Brother, Haas, and Fanic.
Right. So back it up. I think we mentioned Kinematic Sauce last time, but give us the lowdown of what you're doing.
Yeah. So this kind of came about from like I've been wanting to do this for a while, and then Devin Bedoni hired us to do that. And I got it pretty close. Like I need to like correct, like Justin was like, once you get into within like a couple thou, then it's like hold on. We got much closer than that. but he like on the Brother, like on a Fanic, you have 3 variables really. It's like X, Y, Z.
Hold on, before we get into that, Kinematic Sauce, you are creating software and macros to dial in the kinematic point of 5-axis machines. Yeah. I'm just like in case somebody hasn't heard the last episode, I want to give them the real lowdown of what you guys are doing because jumping right into it might be a little overwhelming. Yeah, well, I was getting there. I was just doing a little more of a preamble in my. I was more verbose, which is like my bad. So on a Fanic machine, you have 3 variables and then half offsets, where like you just kind of push the center of rotation around. On a Brother and on some Haas's, you have 4, where they decouple the axes, like the tilt and the rotation axes have separate parameters where you can like move them and kind of like push them off of each other. And so Devin hired us to like make this probing macro and do all this shit to like so that we could dial in the center of rotation better than axis set, but he has a balloon probe. Part of it we were initially thinking is like, oh, maybe it's just because the bloom, as like we've all heard, is like the bloom macros aren't very mature. They're not nearly as mature as Renishaw's. Their axis set certainly isn't as mature as Renishaw's, and like not nearly as like comprehensive and all this other stuff. But we're doing it, and then on a Renishaw or on a Fanic, like the numbers kind of correlate a lot more like directly, and that was where like I was like pretty hubristic about the math, and like Justin was pointing out is like we got to a point where like the math wasn't mathing, and then it was very odd, you know,
And then this is kind of like where the seed of it was born, because Justin was like, I think we need to do like some nonlinear regression, least squares stuff. And it's like, yeah, sure, man. So once the math didn't work, like I started looking into it like independently. I haven't done real math since like college, and we went back to Devon's, or I went back, and then Justin and I were on the phone, and like I did some like finite differencing stuff where because we had the probing side of it was already all dialed in. And like we just kind of probe deviation. We don't really care about the work offset like at all. That means nothing to us. Like we probe without any tilted work planes on, because that would give you a false positive. Because if you're driving it to like the same spot, it'd be like, yes, I'm where you told me to go.
Right.
And we essentially then we were deprinting out all this information. So like we were just deprinting everything out. So I was collecting like a fuckload of data. And like once we went back and we knew we were going to be doing real math, I started doing finite differences. So I just changed every parameter by like 1,000 and then changed it back. So like just like one at a time, collected that information, fed it into a model. And Justin and I were working on this independently at that time, and came up essentially after like 12 or so hour day, like we came to the same conclusion independently, and it worked really well. That's like before I did some least squares, like sensitivity model stuff, which was like, it's much, much simpler than what's happening at the moment, but it like works. And like, we had to do some other bullshit and like with the probing and we got it done. And then what Justin did is create like a physics model using like Python and stuff. And it's like very similar to his like previous life at NASA, but like much, much simpler than what he was doing at NASA. But it's just like, it's a lot of math and physics models for optimization. And so that's kind of where it was born, where we take the basis of it is we take a kinematic fingerprint of the machine. So the macro that we are producing is unique to the machine that we are on in that moment. So like you could technically share it, but it wouldn't work. The math wouldn't work the same if the machines were mechanically identical. And what we found now is we can actually detect mechanical error in the system, because like we were at Thai nefs and like we couldn't get it down to we couldn't get it down below like 1,500 of deviation. And like no matter what we did, literally any value we put in the center of rotation, the B90C0 was always out 1,500 of deviation, no matter what, which is crazy. And like the system, like I found it two different ways. I was using Claude, ChatGPT, like feeding the same type of data in it, doing different models, and then Justin analyzed it separately, and we all came up with the same conclusion, which was it's mechanical. And then Ty took everything off and like checked his machine, and it was mechanical. Like he had like what would be considered an A-axis adjustment on a BC machine.
Right.
So it was just like physically could not get any better than that, which is pretty sick. Like that's really nice. So
is that twist then? Is that something he can dial out with twisting the feet
probably
basically?
Like re-level the machine. Yeah. Which is like a pain in the ass on that thing. So he has like tech scheduled. But on the Brother, like we did it on a brand new U500 after AxiSet was ran, and AxiSet was out like 1,500, and we got to like 0.2 deviation in like 2 cubes or something like that. And it's like, it just works. It was like, this is so sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like overall, like the whole ecosystem of the thing is like you select what kind of machine you have and like the axis configuration and what type of probe you have. That generates a reporting macro, no math in it. It just is like based on the information you put in, it tells the probe where to drive and how and where to store values. And then that deprints out a report. and then you feed that report into the website, and that based off of that, it generates the fingerprint macro, which has the math in it. And then you run that a couple times, and it should be basically like good to go. And if you keep feeding the cubes back, it will track it'll track the deviation and refine the kinematic model as well, which is like, it's cool. It works. Like we did it on that fucking Kitamura My Center for JP or my Trunnion, whatever, some bastard machine before they went to, I mean, I've never worked on the 30i control. I assumed it is very similar to a 31i, but it just does some weird stuff. And like, they didn't set up the probe with like M codes on, so it was like spin on, which I've never seen before, and then timeout off. Which is crazy because like trying to like test, like run through the macro, like kind of slow to make sure that I didn't fuck anything up, it would time out in travel. And then it was like, okay, this is really annoying. So I just kind of had to like full send. And we started at like 3.5 thou of deviation, and within like a handful of cubes got down to like 0.7 of deviation. And like we couldn't, it converged at like 0.7, and it was like, oh, there's possibly some mechanical. So it's like, well, when your guy comes to like take the turret out, like let's just make sure that this machine didn't settle, because it's like 40,000 pounds on probably 6 inches of concrete. Like it could have settled since it was installed.
For sure.
And yeah, the sauces, it's fucking cool, man. I'm like, we're really stoked on it.
It sounds super, super cool. Where should people go if they are interested? Who contact you right now?
Yeah, right now, contact me, contact Justin.
You guys are doing kind of beta testing right now?
Yeah, like I think Justin and I were talking this morning, and we're going to launch the website probably and allow people to like join a wait list or sign up, but like there'll be an approval process because we're still like the FANUC portion of it is the one that needs the most work. And that's just because like it is so specific to like builder to builder. We're like Haas and Brother, we have that.
Right.
Like that works. We know it's going to work. Like they, like on a UMC or on like a U500 or M300 or whatever, like they predictably go where you expect them to go. And the probe turns on the way you expect it to turn on and everything. We're like, FANUC clamp unclamp codes, and like how the probe gets turned on and all that is a little, and like what direction it, like that they decided A positive was matters a lot, which is very funny, but it's like,
right, you would think right hand rule would be in effect here, but it's not always that way.
Not always. Nope.
Yeah.
And so like like some of them want to tilt forward, some of them want to tilt backwards, and sometimes that is like, you're like, oh, okay, like kinematically the math like kind of maths out all the same, but I mean, Justin did some work on that shit, but it's good. And we've done like a handful of installs at this point and have gotten pretty good results. Like we're really like on the Brother is the best result so far. And I think it's because the axes are decoupled.
Right.
Like, well, there's two factors. Like the machine was brand ass new. So like about as mechanically perfect as you could get. And the axes being decoupled and having more variables means you can like dial shit in better.
Right.
So it's like, it's cool.
Yeah, that's great. And then you said, you were saying something about the Haas ones being different, whether it's a UMC or it's a 3-axis with a trunnion.
Yep. Yeah. So the Haas they like say it's old, but like there's technically 10 parameters that are used for center of rotation, but depending on which machine you're on is what is used. So the UMC uses FANUC style. It's like parameter. It's at least 3, possibly 4. I don't have a good answer for that yet. Where it's like parameter 254, 255, 256, 257, which is like 255 through 257 is XYZ center of rotation, and then 254 is this like 5th axis rotary distance, which claims in the description to only affect tool center point control, but talking to some techs, if that isn't correct, then the center of rotation will always be wrong. But we just need to do some more testing there. And then, so that's how the UMC works. And then on a trunnion, they use like 300 through 305, I want to say, which is master slave, which is very similar to the brother, where it decouples like the tilt and the rotary axes, and they have separate offsets, and like that works different. And they say that's because it's you putting a trunnion table on an existing table,
right?
And that's why you need it. And it's like, I mean, sure, I get that, but it's like, could I use? And then I was like asking, like, can I use the master slave on the UMC instead of these three? Because I think I could get it more accurate if we use these. And they were like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, cool. And that was like the Haas techs that were there and stuff. And so I just needed to like fuck around and do some testing, because like I think if some of the values are empty, it might bomb out or whatever. My neighbor has a UMC. I like point over there because it's like on the other side of this wall, and he's let us fuck around on it before, but it's like I don't want to fuck his machine up. So
right,
yeah, but you know, it's very bizarre. It's like such a Haas thing to do.
That's very strange. Yeah. You would think that it would just be the same no matter what.
Right. Which is, they made the new version, or the UMC version, more similar to a Fanic. Yeah. But without the half angles. And the half angles are also debatable on if they do anything or not. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, we just need to test. Just test. Because like some of them, they're like, oh yeah, this doesn't matter. Like you could change this value by like whatever, and it won't have any effect on it. But this other one might. Like, okay, cool. So we're just using like the 3-parameter version and gotten pretty good. But yeah, it's a crispy little setup.
That's exciting.
Super excited about it.
Awesome.
And yeah, and that's been a lot of the travel. And like, but I've also like, I was in LA recently to like do fusion training for people that like didn't know anything, which was very like that's not necessarily like a first, but like nobody knew anything like at all. They barely knew how the shop functioned that they worked in, you know.
Oh wow.
And it was like one of the guys that operates the machine, I'm like, all right, well, like I had them like, they do a lot of turned parts, so I was like, let's like you like and they don't get models, they get drawings. And it's like, okay, how about we go through the process of like creating of like, if you had to turn this drawing into a solid. And it was one of the operators was like, oh, I barely know how to read these things. Like,
oh boy.
Tight.
That seems like such a strange choice for them to invest in training then at that point.
Right.
Or fusion training. Like I could understand other training at that point, but not fusion.
Same. We talked him out of doing a spree training for everybody. So,
jeez.
Yeah, I was like, you don't want to do that. That's just not a good use of time. Like, it's also if you want them to all program, it's going to get very expensive very quickly. Where like fusion's pretty low lift here.
Right.
And it was he only wanted to like do the training in the afternoons, like after 4. So I was doing like Kinematic Sauce stuff in the morning and then that stuff in the afternoon, which was like in LA was pretty brutal because like it was all over the fucking place and like super spread out and whatever. That was nutty. And then like came back for a day, flew to Pennsylvania to go to Kinematic and then hang out with Justin, then flew back to LA. And finished up some Kinematic Sauce this week, then flew back here to Boise for the show.
Jeez.
Which was good. The show was really good. Before I get into the show, I think we hadn't hired Charles the last time we talked.
I don't even think you had been, I think the last episode we had talked that you were hiring.
Yeah.
And you had put out feelers, but that was it.
Yeah. And so Charles, like we hired a guy he's on Impractical Machinists. He did an episode there, and then he's in Boise, which is what we were looking for. A guy that just like, he sits right over there and he can make fixtures on our machine and like do contract programming. He's really good with Fusion. And like we did his like first week, we gave him a pretty, I mean, it was like as far as turnkeys go, it's pretty simple, but it was like still first week, like design fixtures, program fixtures, make the fixtures. But like in essentially his first day to like the next following Wednesday, we did like from scratch to install a complete turnkey, which was cool. And like that's what we were looking for, is I don't have to be the one that's running the machine. And then when the machine's not running, he's doing other stuff, which is huge because it frees me up a ton to like literally, I don't have to worry about like programming and then sending it to Michael and then being with Michael. He can get it done. And we're training him up on container method stuff because he was like, I've never really needed to do it. And I was like, no, that's wrong. Like I was telling like Justin and you as well, is like, I've just been very intense about a lot of things with this. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to be very intense about this because ultimately like what we are doing for like people are hiring us to do programming sometimes. But a lot of the time, especially in Fusion, they're not hiring us to do programs. They're hiring us to build systems for them. And so while we are good programmers, that doesn't fucking matter at all, which is a weird thing to hear. But it's like, at the end of the day, there will come a point where we are extracted from whatever is going on. And so we need to build a system that persists without us.
Right.
And thinking about it like holistically, our customer's customer, like your customers, don't give a fuck about how the part was made. As long as it was made and it was on time and it's good. Like everything else, none of it matters, right?
Yeah.
None of it matters. It's just like, and it's like, how quickly can we get an effective program? Like obviously within reason, like you can't have every program take like 10 or 15 hours or whatever when it can actually be like 2 or 3. Like that's an unreasonable and untenable situation. But it's like, if we can build systems for people where we can extract ourselves, that's the best, right? Yeah. Like that's what we need to do. And so we were going
over the whole freedom through discipline thing. Like you need to be very disciplined making the systems for these people because they need to be freed up to do what they like. Once you leave, they shouldn't be calling you.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, if they're calling us, it's because they want us to do more stuff, not because it doesn't work or whatever.
Right. Or they have questions or anything like exactly.
And like the juxtaposition, which was like a good, like, because we spent some time going over it, is like when he made the fixtures for the turnkey, we just let him go. You know, we didn't have him work in the container because like time and whatever, it's like, just do what you got to do and we'll do it. We'll get to the other stuff later. And he did, I mean, he smashed it. A fantastic job. But it was like a lot of probing, a lot of him on the control, doing stuff, like a lot of very specific type of shit. And I was like, see the difference like between what you're doing, which is good, like you're good at this, versus what we need to do is like when I'm doing stuff, I can have Michael Morton run the machine. When you're doing stuff, you can run the machine and that's it. Right. Like, and we need it to be that, like, we need to take ourselves out of the situation in order for anybody to run the machine. Because the reality of the reality of the industry is like, there's not enough guys like us. So you need to be able to build a system that anybody can work within. Because again, at the end of the day, nobody fucking cares how the parts gets made. Like, oh, I did this cool thing, whatever. We think it's cool. But at the end, like, but nobody fucking cares.
Right.
You know, I just need parts. And when people are like, oh, I need to understand the system, I need to do this. It's like, no, you fucking don't. You don't need to understand.
Do that on your own time.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
What you need to do is make some fucking parts. And then when you make parts, like you have to understand the rules before you can break the rules. And it's just like this big thing about like essentially technical leadership is like, we are going to do it our way, right? And I'm not saying my way. This is how ZC does things, because I'm trying to remove myself from like another, like a meta level to it from the situation. This is how ZC does things for people. And so like when they do that, like, and you just need to understand that. And I'm not saying I don't want input, right? I do want input, but learn what we're doing first. And like, once we're all aligned, then we can start to build off of that. And like, oh, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And like start to like refine the system. But without that, it's just kind of like people doing what they do. And it becomes like very tied to the individual. Like right now, a lot of stuff is tied to me, which is, I don't like that. Right. Cause then I have to go like do certain things when it's like, these guys should be capable of doing this, and like we've kind of fucked up on not training them up on how this whole thing works. So we need to like buckle up and like just realize, like, and I've had this conversation with Charles where he's like, this is a lot more work, like on the configuration side or whatever. It's a lot more upfront work, and it's going to slow me down. And it's like, I don't care. Right. Like, I'm expecting that. I expect you to be slow. I'm not expecting you to be fast. I'm expecting you to learn how we do this, because then you can do more shit. Like right now, I'm the only one that does container stuff because I'm the only one that understands it. And so it's like, until you understand it, I can't have you go show somebody how to do it, because you're going to do it differently than I do. And now we start to fracture, which we've all seen this across the industry with, like, if you've bought a machine from Methods on the East Coast or the West Coast, if you've bought a machine from Yamazin in certain territories, like West Coast guys have Greg, and he's like an awesome apps guy. And then Midwestern guys have some other fucking guy who sucks, I guess, and does shitty things with like pro macros or whatever. And like apparently the dude in Florida is awesome. And like, but it's like, that's because they don't unify across the whole company because they want the regions to be whatever. And it's like, it's fucking dumb. Like everybody should at the baseline have a baseline experience of good shit. Like if you're really like, I mean, I just think like if you're releasing pro macros, unless the whole company is doing the same thing, it shouldn't be fucking regional. Like that's so stupid, you know?
Well, I think that like what you're getting at too is kind of analogous to what we've talked about with automation, where it's like, I don't care about cycle time. I want process reliability. And that's what you want internally to ZC is like, I want dialed processes to come out of ZC, not can I turn around a program really quickly.
Right. And the thing, like, I mean, what we've boiled it down to essentially is just like no surprises, you know? Like, I shouldn't open anyone's program and be surprised at what I see. Like, it should be like, oh, especially if like I started a program and I open it up, it should be along the lines of what I anticipated, not like, what the fuck did you do type of situation. It's like, we should have like, the goal is no surprises for anybody, because like, then like if we're surprised, then the customer might also be surprised. And then that becomes a very interesting situation where we're doing a lot of unbillable work to unfuck that surprise, you know? And it's pretty interesting, and it's a lot of work. I mean, it is a lot, like there's a lot more like thought involved rather than just doing stuff and being like more intentional with like the technical side of things instead of like just get it done, you know, do whatever you need to do. It's like, no. Like there's no doing it, do what you need to do. It needs to be this way.
Right.
And I don't care if it's slower. Just fucking like do it this way. And then we will become fast. And we will be aligned. And that's awesome. Like, we love that.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. So that kind of, that's that. And then that's like been the experience with like the new employee. And like, it's been a lot of this is coming from like, we're we have like with Charles coming on, like Doug's been with us for a year and 2 months now, and going on a year and 3 months. And
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's been that long.
Yeah. And like he's seen a lot of changes, you know, and like it's been, I think like all the changes in the company are very like obvious. Like, I mean, we're changing things all the time, and it's been like very interesting for him to like experience this whole thing. And so like with Charles, it's like, well, we're going to, instead of like going wild, like Wild West Cowboy, just like we have the opportunity to like dial in the like quote unquote or whatever culture and technical leadership of the company, like on
change
fresh
your onboarding
blood.
process. So that it's a real onboarding process
before we end up with like a bunch of like fractures. And it's been good. Yeah, it's been really good.
Awesome.
And then like that kind of brings us to, we were at this week was Haas Demo Days in Boise, and we got to set up a table there, which was cool, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Brought a bunch of like random shit. Like Charles made a topographical map of like a 3D topographical map of Bogus Basin, and we made a fixture for it. Like, because we were going to just do the Bogus Basin thing, which would still be cool by itself, but it's like, well, let's just make a fixture because we make fixtures. And like the biggest thing for that was like, we can't bring a nothing part. Like, we just can't. I talk so much shit about this that like we cannot just bring a nothing part that like it's cool and I like it, but it's like, let's put it in a fixture because that is something that we actually do and that is real.
Right.
So we have a real thing, like a fake thing inside of a real thing, and that showed really well. People liked that combination. It like drew, like the fake part drew people in, and they're like, oh, I like this fixture, whatever. And yeah, it was like we had super low expectations. We didn't expect. We had like we weren't going with the intention to like sell. It was more like, hey, we exist in the area if you need help. And like I ran out of cards. Like people took our cards. A couple people, like I had the 3D printed in like as close to Haas colors as I had available. Then we put it in a vise like a part, you know, and had a couple people scan that and like do the thing, because that just like took them straight to our website and ability to like onboard as a customer right then and there. We were showing like some container method stuff, like because we had the Lappy set up and like the monitor, and I had like, check this out. And some guy was like, yeah, we need to do that. Like, we need to do that. It's like, yeah, you do. And there was, because HFO Boise is owned by Gossiger, like there was a couple guys from like Milwaukee and LA there, because those are also Gossiger HFOs, and got to like, I was like, hey, the LA guy was like, we get hit up about turnkeys all the time. We don't do turnkeys. And it's like, yeah.
Yep. Here you go.
Here, baby.
Here's my card.
Here. Yeah. Yep. So it was a lot of fun. Charles did good. He was like selling his ass off, which was like tight. And like Michael was there. We brought 2 cases of White Monster. that was a good bait. It worked.
Awesome.
Yeah. And full-size candy bars, you know.
Oh man,
dude, yeah. There was a handful of kids there. One of the guys I know in town, Daniel Demas, he brought his kids, and it's so funny because he has like 2 boys, and they were just like anything and everything, just grabbing it, and it's like, oh my god, super funny. And then there was a little girl who, she was like way into the Just Fucking Cut sticker, and like I sent you the picture. She like put it on herself, which is, and I was like, oh, can I give her the shirt? And her dad was like, yeah, absolutely. Like,
that's sweet. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good. I'm really glad it was a good show, because like, yeah, I feel like I would have gone into a small HFO day with very minimal expectations, but it sounds like it really kicked ass for you guys.
It was cool. Like we probably could have been a little more aggressive, like with like trying to get people to like buy hours like right then and there, but it's like whatever. Like there's not a lot going on. So gave some shirts away, gave the cards away. A lot of people got stickers. And yeah, if anything comes of it, good. If nothing comes of it, we get to like refine it for like, I don't know what the fuck is happening with IMTS, but if we're going to have like anything set up there or not, I have no fucking clue. I don't think anybody does. Like, we've had some interesting conversations that might turn into something, might not. We'll find a place to do something, you know?
Oh, yeah. I have.
But yeah, that brings us back here. I mean, like to today, like just in the shop, I'll be programming. I need to do we've gotten a lot of Esprit stuff, and I have to do a lot of Esprit programming this weekend.
My condolences.
Yeah, it sucks.
Awesome, man. Well, running down my list, just after we recorded last time, I went out to the Rigo Indie Days and presented. That went really well. There weren't like a ton of people on the day that I was presenting, but people seem to really like the presentation. I know Rigo wants to turn it into a blog post for their website.
Nice.
I'm considering, because I had a lot of people reach out and ask like, oh, is your presentation going to be available? Like, did they record it? And from what I understand, they didn't. And so I'm thinking about just sitting down, screen sharing the presentation and kind of going through it. Because there's some stuff that I thought of afterward to do. Did I talk about building the presentation on the last episode?
A little bit. You were, not on the last episode. I think you were telling us in the group chat.
Yeah. So
about using, I don't remember what.
So I was, like, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I just sometimes hit a creative block trying to put that stuff down on paper. And so I was chatting with Claude about it, and I was like, are you the best AI to build a presentation? And I'm fully expecting it to just be like, of course I am. You know, I'm the best at everything. And it referred me to another one that I'm completely spacing on the name. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. Gamma. And so Gamma's like built for presentations and pitch decks and all of that stuff. And so I workshopped with Claude. I was like, okay, well, interview me to help me build this presentation. Like, here's the name of it. Here's the ideas behind it. Here's my, what I bring to it. And we just went back and forth for like an hour and a half. And then it synthesized, like, everything it put in the handoff document was my words that I had typed out, but it was synthesized into an order that made sense for the presentation. And so then I just fed that into Gamma. It created a bunch of slides. I threw in a bunch of pictures that went for each topic. And I mean, I probably went back and forth. Like, I would do all of that, then export either an individual slide or the whole presentation as a PDF, send it back to Claude, talk through things I could change to make it better. And it just worked so well. Like, I ended up with a presentation that was completely in my words, completely what I wanted to say, but felt very, very practiced and dialed before I had even tried it once.
Nice.
So I was very happy with that. So yeah, I might record it, just screen share and have a little picture of me in the corner presenting. But it went really well. And then the last day, they were taking people to the track for the Indy 500 practice. Instead, I drove down to our friend Andrew Henry's shop, which was fantastic. I got to.
His shop's so cool.
It's so cool, and like, it's just crazy thinking back on it, because the first time he was on the podcast, I think he was either just starting to leave his garage or had just moved or something like that, and had maybe one or two employees.
Yeah,
and now you go there and it's like full big business. Like, it was so exciting to see, and I loved seeing the Matsura, the way that they've set up the brothers, just so many little things that I picked up of just like how organized they are. And he's one of those people that you go there and you're like, oh yeah, I see all of the lean influence, but like, it is practiced and practical, not just superfluous. You put a label on everything kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'll circle back to when you're done, because we've been doing some stuff now that we actually have a shop. But I think like his ship station is the coolest ship station I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like I said it. I've said it on here before for sure, like at least once. But like the fucking vacuum thing that just like sucks the things off is like that's so. It's brilliant.
Genius.
It's so simple, so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like it just works crazy good.
I want to find a smaller dust collector to do the same thing, because like we don't have the volume or the space to throw like a full-on dust collector vacuum to do that. But I love the idea. Like I really love that idea.
Cause could you put it like up?
Maybe
like
in the ceiling, basically.
Yeah, because you have drop ceilings there. If you
That's
could just
not a
like
bad
go
idea.
up, like so, it's just like because he's in the shop, like he that's in the shop area.
Yeah,
but you could go like up.
Yeah,
and it kind of wouldn't matter.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I need to figure out some way to copy that, because I it just feels like magic. Like it really, his whole shipping setup just feels like magic. Like the way it takes pictures and generates labels, and it is so dummy proof. It's awesome.
Did you ask him? I've been wanting to ask him. You should have him back on first off.
There's already a plan for that. Yeah.
Sick. So like, I will preemptively get my question out. Is like, because he's put a bunch of money into that thing. Does it feel weird to have sunk like tens of thousands of dollars into a software project that you could probably do yourself now? You know?
Right. That's an interesting question. Yeah, I'll have to ask him that for sure. Because it's crazy what you can do with. Anyway, we'll get to some LLM stuff. I know that people are probably tired of hearing about it, but I've got a fun project that I've been working on. Anyway, I got back from that. I had way overcommitted us. This goes to shut up. This goes to Thomas's question, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I basically came back to like a pit of work. Like I had way overcommitted us and went through probably 2.5 weeks of just like severe late nights and depression, and working through a bunch of work that actually, looking back on it, it was only one order that I was really late on. The other ones I was either right on time or like a day behind. Yeah. But it just felt terrible. Like the whole thing just felt really awful.
I don't know what you're talking about. You seem to be having a great time during that whole period. You were like, oh yeah, everything's going good. I definitely didn't drop this fucking vice out of the... I was moving on all cylinders, baby.
That was, I think, after I'd pulled myself out of the hole too. But yeah, basically, like I had accepted all of this work. I don't know what, like I was pretty good about scheduling before we got the automation up and running. And I don't know what it was that put me back on the Dunning-Kruger curve, but I was for sure at the like peak of ignorance of just like, well, of course I can take all of this work and it can all be due within the next week because the automation is going to work and I can run it overnight and everything will work out perfect. Like in what fucking world is anything going to go to plan all at once? And it was like 4 jobs in a row that all had major blockers.
Right.
Back to back to back. Like, but one job, the model geometry was so dirty. I spent 40 hours one week trying to generate toolpaths on it. Trying, not doing, trying. Yeah. I ended up having to duplicate the body and split it up with a bunch of planes and then generate geodesic off of sections of the part at a time. Ugh. Because otherwise it kept saying like either it couldn't find drive curves or it would detect undercuts that weren't there, or just like the most garbage stuff ever.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was also when I realized that apparently I missed the boat on correctly building tools. Like you and Justin just talked about it in the episode 1 that I just released for Down the Rabbit Hole. PSA, I guess. I think I had been so used to building tools for so long for 3-axis and never gone down the rabbit hole, terrible, of like how to correctly build necks in the tools. And so I'd always built the neck as the
shoulder.
Shoulder length, yes. Yeah. Which is fine in geodesic because geodesic gives you both shoulder and shank collision avoidance. But in things like steep and shallow, for example, it does not look at that shoulder length at all.
Yeah.
When it's doing 5-axis collision avoidance, you need a neck. And so the neck is built in the, do they call it the neck tab, or what is it called? Like
they call
the
it
shoulder tab?
The shaft.
Shaft, that's what it is. So you have to set your shoulder length always to the flute length. Correct. And then if it's an extended reach tool, you build out the neck in the shaft as a section in the shaft holder. Everyone I've told this to is like, yeah, you're an idiot. Of course that's how you do it. And apparently I just missed the PSA on it when they started doing that stuff in Fusion, and I've been doing it wrong forever. So I've had to spend a lot of hours going back through all of my tool libraries and fixing that. And
if it's Fraser tools, you could you can kind of just like feed it the web page and it'll build it for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm still in the middle of working on a XML importer anyway, because I would love to be able to just send it the tool expert XML so it brings in speeds and feeds as well. I'm pretty close. It works on most tools that I've tried it on now, but it bombs out or like creates the wrong tool type occasionally. So I'm not super happy with it.
I should give you what I have, because I think I have like basically all the metric tools built with speeds and feeds and from the Fraser catalog, which is like 6,000 tools or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what we really need to do? Like you, me, and Justin, and maybe we just need to do it as like a community. It's like have a GitHub repo that we're all a part of, where we have like our piecemeal projects that are not done, and that way we're not overdoing it and like all doing the same project together. Because like I've talked to 2 or 3 other people who are all working on XML importers for Fusion as well, and it's like I feel like we've all probably figured out something that the other hasn't figured out at this point.
Yeah. So the one that we did, like it like builds the tool off of the web page and then it goes into the tool expert and pulls all the information for the cutting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
so
it's
anyway,
pretty effective.
I dug myself out of that pit of work, finally learned a lot. Like I think we ran the machine between 10 and 16 hours every night for 3 or 4 weeks straight.
Nice.
And it still runs between 6 and 16 most nights at this point. But this was like 7 days a week. I was coming in Sundays to just roll all the pallets and get it going again. We had these very tiny little fiddly 316 parts that were like an hour and a half a piece. And I had 30 or 35 of them, and then I ended up having to make them multiple times because, again, automation lessons, like I was using a 1mm tool to finish a bunch of the part. Like it had all these angular faces that were at off angles, and they get bead blasted, and I didn't notice. The finish looked great, and I didn't notice until I bead blasted it that a lot of the angled faces had lines in them. Turns out that my 1mm Fraser that I was using for roughing and finishing had chipped off 2 of the 4 flutes at some point and rounded off the corners of the other ones. And so it was still leaving and roughing and passing tool check, but it was leaving little cusps between it. And so like I ended up having to remake 15 of them or something because it was one full night of running, or one full night and day.
This is a quick thing there is like, this is something that I've gone back and forth with like Doug, cause like, and Charles, and kind of anybody is like, you can technically like rough and finish with the same tool, but obviously it's possible. But when you start to get into like building a process, it does cost money, but like at the expense of process reliability, just fucking split them always.
Yep. That's exactly what I did. Is I added the same tool underscore finish, and then I just ran that as my finisher for everything.
Yeah.
It lasted the entire run and no more problems. And then what else did I have? Oh, there was little M1.2 threads on it, and I'm still struggling with tool life on tiny thread mills and stainless.
Okay.
We were using an SCT one, and it would last 30 holes, 20 holes before I needed to start comping it pretty aggressively. And then after about 35 or 40 holes, it would be too rounded to create good threads.
Is this Maldino, where like you're making the hole at the same time, or no?
Just a thread mill.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything below 1.4 millimeters seems like it works fine, but anything below that, I've had issues with.
Yeah.
Like M1s and M1.2s.
Interesting.
With I think the tip just gets rounded off to the point where, like, no matter how much comp you give it, you just can't get enough thread out of it.
I wonder if this is I mean, obviously it's kind of silly, but like if it's a situation where you could get away with like at a certain size, you have a rougher end of finishing thread mill.
Potentially, yeah. I'm doing some testing too. Like, we've been using some Hoffman thread mills that seem like they last a little better in stainless. There was also, where did I buy another thread mill from? There was another brand that popped up that seemed like it was going to be good for micro stainless thread mills. I'm spacing on who it was.
Not a Mugi, or I mean,
I don't think so.
No, SET, Maldino.
Maldino doesn't go down below M2, unfortunately. Both for the fancy ones that we use, the Epoch Ds, and their normal ones. I don't think I could find anything below. Is there M2 or like Odd 80 or something like that?
Yeah.
So still not small enough, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, learned a lot of lessons about reliability and creating a bunch of scrap overnight and all of that stuff. Dug myself out of it. What else is on the list? More light in the S700. I had a spare Waldman light for the S700 for the longest time, and I finally got that installed and wired in.
Nice.
And the only reason I bring it up is the one cool thing I found is we use a bunch of the Wago connectors now for like electrical projects because they're awesome and they're super easy. They make DIN rail mounts for Wago connectors. So you can clip a Wago in there and then mount it to a DIN rail. So I wanted to bring that up because I didn't know and found it out. And I was like, this is the best thing ever for like, prototyping.
Yeah, you could just put it in the cabinet of the machine. Easy peasy.
I mean, yeah, the third light, I ended up having to just like splice all three wires for all three lights into the same power supply. And that's how I did it, is they all just go into a Wago, and then one wire goes from the Wago to the power supply.
Sick.
Switching to DI, so I'd been piecing together this RO system forever and sort of worked, but like the pressurized tanks didn't have enough water in them to fill a Hermla. Like, we're going through 100 and 150 liters a day on the Flex when it's running 24/7.
Is it like drag out, or what's the like?
I think it's just evaporation, dude. It's just Arizona being Arizona, like 10% humidity, and it's just pissing it away.
I mean, you are like, it's crazy because like your shop isn't like hot.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's just dry. I think it just there's enough. It's dry enough that it just pulls it out. Because like we have the conveyor on. I think I've got like 600 seconds off and then 10 or 15 seconds on. Yeah. And it just is continually cycling. Like, I don't turn it on or off in the program. I just have it on a timer. And so like the stuff, I mean, there is coolant in the chips that come out. I'm never going to get away from that, but they're about as dry as I can make them without.
Yeah. So it's definitely not drag out.
Yeah.
Do you think you lose some from the filtration system?
Like, potentially. Like the filter paper does come out wet when it cycles, but even that I turned down. Oh, dude, that was so frustrating. So I got the alarm that I was getting low, and I could see that the roll was getting low. I probably got the alarm 4 weeks ago at this point, or 3 weeks ago. And so like I, emailed Hermla and rush overnighted a roll at great expense, and I'm still running the same roll. The warning is like way too soon, or like maybe the setting got messed up, so it thinks that there's way less than there is. Yeah, it's like, let me know at like 10 yards left. Like a couple days worth. Don't let me know at 4 weeks.
They're
worth.
Like, why? Germans are like, why? You should always have extra. You fucking.
Well,
fool.
so we bought 2 rolls per machine, and like now we're set up. But anyway, it was just frustrating. Tighten your lang. I dropped a vise into the machine because of the 10 or 12 pallets I'd set up one night. Thankfully, the last one to run, so I got all of my overnight run. I only missed an hour.
Yeah.
Forgot to tighten the lang, and the vise, thankfully, I thought that the first cut was at A90, and so it just dropped off, but it turns out that my AX FPS actually pulled it out of the studs out of the thing, snapped the tool, and then dumped the vise into the chip bin, and thankfully it was right as the conveyor had turned on, and so it stuck the conveyor and aired out the machine, like almost immediately. Like the tool breakage would have caught the tool too, but it didn't pull. Somehow it didn't pull out in a way that the vise got hit by the rougher.
Yeah.
The rougher just blew up into aluminum, which is fine. Vise was fine. I didn't see any real dings or dents in the sheet metal. Like, as dumb as it was about the best way that could have failed.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you probing now?
I'm working on that. I haven't put in my template yet. The thing I'm doing right now is my stopgap is that I do not take the wrench out of the lang plate until it is tight. So I leave it in there. Because usually I would loosen it, magnet it to the side of the machine, go do whatever I needed with the vise, put it back in, and then tighten it. But now, as long as I'm not going to close the doors on the wrench. Or like I'll notice it if I do. So I just leave the wrench in there, and I'm like, okay, that's my stopgap for now. Because what I need to do, the thing that is like I haven't had time to check yet, is I need to probe a few of the pallets in the machine and write their location when they're clamped, and then verify that my model in my template is at that location from centerline.
Right.
Because if I just started probing, I don't know if they like clamp within 10th thou of each other. I don't know if they clamp within 50 thou. Do I need to be just checking like plus or minus an eighth?
Right.
So
yeah
I don't want to like throw it in my template and then all of a sudden lose half a night run because, 3 of the pallets are 30 thou taller when they're clamped than the other ones.
Yeah, which would probably still work, I would think, but I don't know.
What do you mean?
Like if it was... Because the screw goes in quite a bit. Like if you were within probably 30 thou, it would probably still be enough holding force that... Because like you don't really get after it, So like using like a 2-inch face mill or like a fucking 3/4 AXFPS and like a big ass piece of material.
No. I more mean that I want to set my template model at maximum material condition and then say... plus 0 minus whatever, minus a half an inch. Yeah. Like it can always be deeper. It can always be more tight. I just don't want it to. Yes, I need to find that range basically of acceptable values.
Right. So
anyway, got my other pallets finally built. I had 3 or 4 left over that 2 of them I hadn't cleaned because I had plugs stuck in the risers, so I got those out, finally rebuilt all those. I bought a few more lang plates because we decided to just leave the 2-fold plates in their boxes for now because we're not really using them. Yeah. Just build all 16 pallets out as single station with the vise, with the riser that we're already doing. So I have 15. I'm waiting on more 70, 75 to build the last one, and I'm actually going to build a couple extra just so I have them in case I do something stupid and mill into them or whatever, I just want to have an extra on the shelf. But let's see. Our bamboo kind of exploded itself the other day, and it's all fixed now, but I had pulled the extruder out because it had goo all over it, and I fixed it and put it back in, and I don't know if the clamp just didn't clamp well or what was going on, but I really don't know how it failed. I wasn't taking video or anything, so I don't quite know. But at some point, the filament feeding it pushed the nozzle out slightly from the clamp, like 30 thou or something.
Okay.
And it was still trying to print, and so it scraped super deep gouges and scrapped a PEI bed completely. And then finally pushed the nozzle completely out. And so the nozzle was just like dangling while it was extruding filament and like pushing the nozzle away with the unmelted filament. And then it finally stopped.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
I guess. I mean, I would have loved the nozzle camera to be like, something's fucked.
Yeah, because don't they use there's no like LiDAR or whatever on the head, like to like detect layer height and all that shit?
I think they got rid of the LiDAR when they went to the H2Ds, but they have 2 or 3 cameras now, all that are supposed to be looking for like spaghetti detection and stuff. And it's like,
well, it's like there's no spaghetti here, baby.
well, there was, because it was also all like, dude, it was just a nightmare. But anyway, thankfully, they're fairly bulletproof. Like I replaced the nozzle, replaced the bed. I think I reseated the like ceramic heater for the nozzles so that it wasn't at an angle, and it prints fine now. Like the parts coming off it are totally fine. So
cool.
We machined for the first time like anything super, super hard. Like thankfully Brad Southard locally was able to heat treat some A2 for us to 62 Rockwell. And neither Brad nor I had ever done that. And it was Brad's project. And this is not a sponsored plug or anything. We do sell the alien stuff though. And like it's good up to 67 Rockwell and worked the treat. We we ended up surfacing the whole part basically after heat treat. Cool. Left 5 thou and like gorgeous surface finish. Like,
hell yeah.
It was so good.
You do that in the S700 or the F?
Yeah, the S.
Nice.
Yeah, Brad killed it.
Cool.
And then last up, I kind of nerd sniped myself with this whole espresso project. Yeah. It just turned into like a really good learning curve on just a lot of things like Python and web development and dealing with Claude design. But we had the old espresso machine from the shop is called a Gadget. There's all of these like intelligent mods you can add to it, called either like a Gadgetuino or a Gadgemate, that you wire it in and it gets all the sensor data and can pull shots based on weight or whatever, or flow, and change the pump pressures. And I got this one called the Gadgemate, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, and got it and started installing it. And I was like, the UI is kind of garbage. Like it's really kind of ugly. And so it's an open source project. I fed the whole code base into Claude Design and was like, make me a better
computer
UI.
Sexy.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And like gave it like, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Gave me 3 potential UIs back and was like, which one do you want me to work on? I was like, this one looks great. Do it. And that began a now multi-week project because it created this UI, created a handoff package for Claude Code. Claude Code started implementing it. And then very quickly we found out that the reason that the UI is so basic on the stock one is that the screen that it ships with is like a very low quality, tiny, round screen. So like you command dark browns and it crushes them to black. Like it has to be a very light brown to even show up as brown. Yeah. And like it just doesn't have the processing power to really support any kind of animation or whatever. And so then I bought, so the display is its own ESP32 that then talks over Bluetooth to the control board, which is also an ESP32. And like that's what has all of the high voltage stuff and controls all the sensors. So I bought a bigger ESP32 display that was a better screen, and then it turns out it didn't have, the ESP32 doesn't have the processing power, period, to just like drive a bigger display that's high quality in the way I wanted without a lot of tearing and like glitchiness. And so then I talked it over with Claude a bunch and did some research and have now spent a week and a half porting the entire project over to a Raspberry Pi. And so like we rewrote the Bluetooth interface basically. Like it had to like decode how it talks to itself and like replicate that on a Pi with Python. We rebuilt the whole UI, but make it sexy. Like it looks very good compared to the stock one. And then now, like the last couple of days, I've been doing the web UI because like you've always been able to log into a web interface on like a tablet or a phone and get a lot more data, like shot graphs and all of this stuff. And so like I've now been going through, because that also looked the same and was just like very busy with data. It's like I want it to look good, and then I want to be able to dig into the data with advanced modes if I want to. And so I think I'm like a day or two from being pretty wrapped up on everything, and then I need to finish assembling the machine and pull some test shots, and I'm sure do a lot of debugging. But it's been a fun project. Like it's been really cool to dive in with Claude. It's the first time ever that I've gotten close to my daily usage limits. Like usually, Fusion add-ins and stuff, it's like, I might use 50%. But like, especially when I'm doing design development alongside code development, when they're both are burning tokens, it's like, I've got to wait an hour for my tokens to reset.
Yeah.
But a few things that I've learned, and this is not just because Justin's a homie, but like his vibe code add-in is so valuable.
Yeah.
Like having it write tests and run them and fix mistakes without my intervention, without me finding bugs. Like I think we're at I have 300 unit tests now in this code that it runs every time we make a big change. And like I know that when I turn on the display, it's not going to brick anything and that it's going to work. And it's dealing with multiple Bluetooth connections, building a Wi-Fi network, and it's been so cool. And like I think it's really changed the way that I look at open source projects in general now. It's now such a big benefit to go with something that's open source because I can just yell at the robot until it's what I want. Like one thing that always bugged me about the Gadget is that you would connect it to your Wi-Fi to be able to access the web UI.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want I don't need another damn Wi-Fi widget sitting on my Wi-Fi that's being a security risk. And so I was just like, hey, can we just change this so that you broadcast a Wi-Fi that I connect to whenever I want to use the WebI and then I can just turn it off? And I was like, yeah, of course we can do that.
Nice.
It's like, okay, cool. So like now it just does that and I just have to be close to the Pi and it generates a Wi-Fi network and turns it off when I'm done. It's like, sweet.
Yeah, because it's like, do you need to be able to like pull shots from the other room? Like, it's such like a funny thing because you're like, there's so much more to the process. Like, it's not grinding beans for you, right? Or like, it's not cleaning itself. It's not doing a lot of things that like having it be connected to the internet like doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, it doesn't need to be there. So like, it's just been super cool. Like, I love having just like a project that I can go work on. I've spent way too much time. I was just talking to Phil about this of like how easy it is to start a Claude Code project and then you like look away and you look back and you're like, oh, it's 2 a.m. I need to go to bed. I had to yell at Claude because it kept suggesting that I go to bed. And I was like, dude, don't ever tell me to go to bed. I was like, just put it in your rules. I will tell you when we're done for the day. Don't ever check in. And it was like, oh, okay.
Have you started working on like your own ERP or anything yet?
No. I think now that I'm nearing the end of this project, like I'm going to start working on, there's a few smaller projects before I even consider an ERP that I want to work on in terms of quoting and scheduling is the big one. Or maybe not even quoting, like just pure scheduling I think would be a big one. I still have like a vague outline with Claude of a setup sheet project that will let us use tablets at the machine and it'll pull up automatically the most recent posted code for that machine when you're there.
Nice.
Or no, it'll pull up the most recent posted setup sheet in relation to the last posted code for that machine.
Cool.
What was the other one that I wanted to do? I don't know. There was one other small one, but I want to handle kind of a few more small projects before I really dive into something like that. Because every time I do one of these projects, I'm like, oh, I've learned so much. Like, man, Claude design is like so good for UI stuff. And like for me, UI is so important for me to make something that I actually want to use every day.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Like I see so many people develop stuff really pre-Claude. I mean, Claude, like even the worst Claude UI is still like pretty decent.
Right.
But like there's so much software out there that you're like, geez, like I'm never going to use it because it just looks like trash.
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of all of my updates, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Justin and I were talking about the make it look pretty later situation. And like now with Claude, you're just like literally like, it's like make it work, then make it look pretty. And it's like now you can kind of do this same, you can do it in conjunction, like at the same time, and it'll do it both. And you're like, no, it's not sexy enough. Make it sexier. And it'll be like, okay. And also, I mean, one of like the very cool things about Claude is like with this Kinematic Sauce thing, like Justin and I can actually collaborate on like the software side of things. Like I don't really touch the math, but like the macro generator that we have and like the marketing page and like what the users are interacting with, like I've mostly just been handling that, and he handles the like real deep technical stuff. And it's like, it's cool. It's more like, and then he'll review it, you know? And it's like more like a senior dev intern relationship, but I mean, it gets the job done.
Oh, for sure. Cool. Yeah. Well, I would say like if you're thinking about developing anything with Claude code wise, I would start with like creating a design brief. I was just talking to Dennis from Coffee Tech about this because he's done some stuff like that where like you first spend some time with the AI developing a multi-page, super, super in-depth spec brief. Yeah. Like same thing that you would give to a software engineer of like, here's how I want the code to look. Here's the functions that it needs to have. Here's the way that it should be interacting. Here's the security, like blah, 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 blah. And like Claude or Gemini or whatever, they can walk you through that. And then I would go first to Claude Design now and like give that to design and like get a rough UI. Because like what I loved about design that I've never seen before obviously in Claude Code, but even in the window, is it will spin up HTML instances of fully working demo design. Like buttons click, they go to the right pages, and you can just like nail down all of that flow that you want, and then say, give me a handoff to give to Claude Code alongside like my spec, and it will use that and build to that spec. And then you can go through and iterate it. Like what I did when I changed displays for the third time is I was like, hey, Claude Code, can you create a handoff document for me to give back to design to rework the UI for our new screen and like include all the specs, include like the development we've done on the code so far. And then I fed it back to design, and then we workshopped the design some more, and then it gave me the new UI, and then I fed it back to Claude Code, and you go round and round, and like you end up with something that's like very, very dialed on both ends at the same time.
Interesting. I haven't delved into Claude Design at all. Maybe I will after this.
It's worth just playing, like even just going to it and saying like, hey, here's some data, make me a sexy little widget to display it, like and walk through a graph, and it'll just do it in the web browser, and you get a little, like last night when I was doing the web UI refresh for the Gadgemate, I was like, hey, we're struggling because you created this really nice web UI, but you didn't think about mobile design at all. So let's rework this and put all of your demo displays in a 900 by whatever pixel arrangement for a mobile phone. And so it just shrunk the window, the demo window, and was like, it put a fake phone on the screen and then put its app on the screen. And was like, here's how it's going to look. And we just developed it like that. And I was like, great, it looks fantastic. Let's send it back over to Claude Code.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alrighty, man. Questions. First up from Patreon, Brian Willman first asks, have you or anybody else, I have not seen them, so you, seen the new larger tool changers, the 160 or the 200 for Haas machines, and do they seem reliable?
I think it's 120 and 160, and I mean, they had one at the show. It's the first time I saw it. It looks cool. I mean, is it reliable? I don't know. Talking to these guys, they have like 5 of them in the valley right now, and I haven't heard of any complaints.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's like it's basically using the existing wheel that was there with a chain on it, like a cog, you know.
Oh, really?
And then
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it just like adds more stuff to it. So it like is a very similar package to what's already going on, and I think most of the mechanism is the same. Okay. They spent a lot of time, like it was like I think they hunted down like the right manufacturer for that for like a while. And that was probably due to cost and everything too, but like I don't think they built that themselves.
Okay. Did it sound
it was
good though? Because like I've seen chain ones where you're like, I can already hear the lash in this chain system and it's going to break at some point.
It was right next to us. Like we were set up right next to the tool changer, and I didn't really, and all they were doing with that machine was changing tools, legitimate. Like it was like changing tools, and it had the RPL on it, the like robot pallet loading thing. And they weren't cutting, and it's like, it was dead silent.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
His other question, when are you going to buy an actual van?
I don't know. I mean, the Subaru, I think, is dead, so maybe soon-ish, but probably not. I mean, of all the things I'm spending money on right now, I think I've spent enough money on vehicles this year. I'm not spending any more money on vehicles.
That's
now.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think that's entirely fair.
Yeah.
We'll keep bugging you about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
All right, from Instagram, Sledgehammer Manufacturing, Brother versus RoboDrill for an automated 5-axis. He's looking at things like the Methods K60 versus, obviously like a U500 100 tool or something like that. Pros and cons of a drill tap style machine for 5-axis versus spending a lot more on something like a Hermla. For argument's sake, parts are sub 6-inch cube, but aluminum to stainless. At this point, I think you have more experience with both of those. Like my only thing I could say is that like it really depends on what the service is like in your area. It genuinely does not matter. That is the only thing that matters when you get to automation in my eyes.
The K6, the plus K60 or whatever is fucking expensive. Like you're gonna spend on that. I think like Juan got the U500 with the Robotrex, and that was like a fairly affordable package. I think he got more vices, and like it takes up maybe a little bit more space, but it was cheaper than the plus K60 all in. Like machine plus Robotrex and machine plus the plus K60, which is like one unit. You can kind of always add, like the nice thing about the Robotrex is you can add it later to any machine. It doesn't really matter. I don't know price-wise where they're at right now, Brother versus RoboDrill. I know they used to be much cheaper, Brothers, but now I think they're a lot closer in price. Like just based on the results we're seeing from Kinematic Sauce, the Brother's a really good option. Like I was very impressed with it, like with that we were able to get it down so low, And I mean, the one downside I'm going to say, which is kind of crazy, is the availability of the U500 is going to be probably pretty crazy over the next like couple of years. Like just because like Jim Bolosic is buying all of them. Like everything that he can, he's going to. And like I was texting him about it this morning, and he's like, I'm going to keep buying them until somebody tells me no.
Right.
And so there's like a legit like availability concern with them.
Fucking up the PG market too.
Yeah, I was like, I said that to him. I was like, you're just buying the global stock of all U500s and Power Grip. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it until somebody stops me.
Yeah.
And
he's doing that. And then like Hadrian is screwing it up for HSK guys.
Right.
It's so frustrating.
And
it's like the two tapers that I have are getting the fucking run by those two companies.
And they both use Freza too. But they're both, Speedio's good, RoboDrill's good. I would say like cost, like they're both going to do what you need them to do. I think I personally like the Fanuc Control better still, having touched both. But the Brother Control is fine. It's basically the same. It is, I would say, legitimately down to where are you? Because the service is what's going to matter the most on those.
Right. Yeah.
Like outside of that, like they'll both cut aluminum, they'll both cut stainless, they both use the same taper. Like the Brother has a slight advantage in that it's like more of a true 5-axis than the RoboDrill is, but like whatever. It's kind of whatever. Like total toss up in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, anytime you automate anything, I think it just comes down to service. Like if you're $500,000 plus into something, you need to have somebody there the next day if something goes down,
Yeah, I don't think at this like any rate like the K60 is cool, but like you have to buy it right now. You know, like when you have to buy them together. You can't field install the Plus K60. Where like you can buy the Brother or the RoboDrill and add a RoboTrex to it later, or some other system to it later, like a Trinity if you want a pallet loader. You know,
Right.
like you can kind of work your way into it. And then I guess the last pros and cons, like versus Hermela or like a Matsur or something. I mean, cost and like you can technically do bigger parts, but if you're doing sub 6-inch cubes, like it also kind of comes down to the accuracy that you need to hit on your parts. Like if you're hitting like plus or minus 5, like or even like plus or minus like 3, you know, you could probably get away with like the RoboDrill or the Brother, no problem. If you need to get like more accurate and you're probably doing like more like actual full 5 moves, like I would say like a real 5-axis will probably do you right a little bit better. But it's whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
still,
thermal stability is probably a big one too, going to like a Hermela DMG or whatever. Like
which
they're all thermally compensated Brothers and RoboDrills. I don't think either of them are.
No, they both handle it the exact same way, which is they have a thermal time constant that if you can like figure out what that is, you can like plug that number into the compensation table, and then it will kind of just like compensate. It'll obviously like compensate the spindle, but using time.
Right.
So like
it's programmatic versus like actual sensors. Yeah.
Right. And that again is just like how accurate do your parts need to be? Because like if you're like plus or minus 3, you could probably like that just isn't a factor for you, you know?
Right. Yep. Let's see. Chief Engineer says, have you ever considered a neat oil for coolant? No rust, bacteria, or concentration issues, and you can get less flammable ones.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, not for me. Anybody, I think, who's running like Swiss, I might as well just put it in everything. Fuck it. But no, because it's true. Like it is no rust, no bacteria. The bacteria is not true. That shit can still grow bacteria. Like anything can grow bacteria if the environment's right. The concentration aspect, sure. Like I don't know about non/less flammable. I've never heard of that. I feel like somebody would have a corner on the market if you could. A fire trace is really expensive.
Right.
And like if there was a non-flammable one, I think like every medical company in the world would probably be using that, because like I think there's like Stryker down in Florida has like 50 Swiss machines making titanium bone screws, and like one of them catches on fire a week or something like that. But like it's messy. Like it's just messy. It's harder to clean. It's like harder to get off parts. It's like you need more of a cleaning infrastructure. Like if you have a lot of machines, it kind of turns your shop into like an ice skating rink if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We just changed our coolant from Fuchs, like the Global 1000, to like back to trim, the Micro 692 XT or whatever the fuck it is, because we have galvanized weight covers in our VF and it turned them black. Like I guess the Global 1000's like that type of synthetic that does that, and it's like that's annoying to deal with, but I would much prefer that over neat oil, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. I have worked in a shop where half the machines were oil because we did a lot of magnesium and stuff like that. So it was easier than eventually there were some machines we switched to magnesium specific coolants. But one thing I noticed, terrible for chip evacuation without having like specific high pressure pumps. Like it just does not flow as fast because it's a thicker fluid. Yeah, it's very viscous. It'll smoke like crazy too if you're doing high removal rates in aluminum. So like if you're just doing steels, or even in steels, like there were a few parts that like the roughing was aggressive enough that it would just start smoking. And like, it sucks. Like it smells like there's something on fire when there's not.
Yeah.
And then
you open the doors, it's just like,
yeah. And it's not to say, like, there are some amazing benefits. Like the ones you didn't mention that are, I think, even better benefits is like surface finish goes way up, way better tool life.
Yep.
But like, I hated it. I hated running. Like anytime they would put me on a machine to develop a process in oil, I was like, can you not? Can you put me on anything else? Like, like I would write into a lot of my work in the instructions, like, do not run on an oil machine, because like I knew it was like an aluminum part or something that I was attacking super aggressively.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is just going to smoke out that half of the shop. Like, just don't put it in one of those machines, please. So for me, like, because I'm in the shop and running these machines, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So yeah. Joel says, once a category of machine has been selected for work, what questions should you ask of yourself, distributors, and things that are not as you would think about it? He's expanding on how Saunders was talking about his list of questions to ask dealers and distributors about machines before signing on the dotted line. So, like, I think he's kind of deep in the Swiss stuff now. As he's looking at other Swiss machines, what should he be asking? You know, for somebody who's looking at 5-axis machines, what are the questions they should be asking?
Yeah. What's your local support? I mean, the local support from service and applications look like? Like, what is typical response time to a service request look like? What's parts availability in the U.S. look like if something goes down? If it's not available in the U.S., what does that typically look like to get it from from the factory overseas? Is there a factory in the United States like Matsuura, or like how big is that infrastructure? Because like Tsugami doesn't really have a factory, but like they have like a very big presence here in the U.S. but like Tornos doesn't, and like Citizen Miyano does, and so like, is a Tornos a better machine? Maybe. But like, if something goes wrong, you have like lots and lots of problems with that situation. And it's like, it doesn't matter how good the machine is. If it goes down and it won't come back up for a while, you're cooked. And like, the smaller the company, the more likely it is that they're going to have a much bigger infrastructure out of the U.S. And then that just complicates things a lot,
For sure.
Or and like with Matsuura, I think like certain spindles, they'll like rebuild them here, but some of them they'll like take overseas, but they have lots of parts here. Same thing with like method stuff. Like they have stuff in the U.S. for like quite a bit of stuff in the U.S. But if they're like a small outfit like Enshu or something, they might have something, but not a lot,
right?
Or like
that's a really good point.
All's metal, which is like Dennis only, basically. He is like judge, jury, and executioner of that situation.
Yeah. I think that really covers the service side. I think the other thing too is take like the biggest part you think you would want to make and add 10% and see how it deals with it. Take the smallest part and subtract 10% and see how it deals with it, or 20%. Like a big thing on like 5-axis is minimum Z to center line of rotation at A90. And I think a lot of companies don't put that up front, and it's like such an important thing.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a 2 or 3 or 4 inch gap there, you're going to need such a long tool holder to get past center line. Right. And I think a lot of people just don't think about travel limits when you're programming that stuff. Like, try to get a model and build up the work holding stack for like mills that you think you want, and then check the travels. Yeah. Like very often on the Hermla, on the old C250, I have to change from my 100 millimeter to my 60 millimeter riser to not have Y-axis over travels at A90. Right. Because that stack up pushes you farther away.
Yeah. And I think like piggybacking off of that, because I mean, just thinking about like, what would you ask for distributors is like, make them do that work. And see if they can do it for you. Like, because if they should be able to get you an answer fairly quickly, and if they can't get you an answer fairly quickly, that means their technical support is trash.
Yeah.
And that's just like a quick, like, you can do it. Obviously, you should be able to get the answer, but like they should be able to provide you the answer. Like they are signing themselves up to be a resource for you when you buy the machine, at least for a year. So like you need to know, like, going in, if they can fucking do this work for you or not, or if you're like, once you sign, you're fucked. You know, which is like the case for a lot of people when they buy, like, the salesman does a good job and whatever else, and then as soon as like the machine is like signed off and it's delivered, then like they're gone, you know. Right. It's like, oh, whoopsies, you know.
Yeah, and get everything in writing.
Right.
Everything. Do not rely on a salesman to tell you something. Follow up with emails that say, hey, so we discussed today these things, and make sure they acknowledge it, because that way there's recourse if something is not quite right.
Yeah. If they refuse to put it in writing, then they're doing something shady, probably. Like if they can't put it in the sales order that like, oh, like we're paying Zap to have like come train you or whatever. If they will like refuse to put that in, it's like, oh, we'll get him, don't worry. Then it's like, I don't know that, probably.
Right.
You know? And it's like, oh, well, because like these guys would do this shit all the time. These salesmen would do this shit. It's like, yeah, we'll help you. And they're like, internally, they're like, well, I buried the cost in these things because I didn't want to do whatever. So like, we just need to go do it. And then it's like, like the smaller the organization, it creates like a much like bigger issue. It's like, get everything explicitly into the sales order, because then once it's like on the PO, like that is like a contract or whatever.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about make them do the work, like make them, especially as the machines get more and more expensive, like make them do a runoff of parts if you're doing production stuff. Make them get you models of the machine and models of everything, and like really dive into all that stuff. Because like you said, like if they can't or won't do a lot of that stuff, it does not bode well for you. Like if you get a machine and you don't know what probes you're getting with it until like afterwards, you don't know if they have experience with it. You know, ask about kinematic cycles and like, oh, are you using AxiSet? Are you using Bloom? Are you rolling your own? Do I have to dial it in with an indicator? Like
that's a really good one too, especially if the machine has a FANUC control and you're not buying like a high-end machine like a Matsura or like a Makino or something, where it's like, what options am I getting with this? Like, is this like a bone stock 5-axis? Like, I don't have tilted work plans or WSEC or anything, because like Methods will sell you a machine like that, you know, with a 5th axis table on it and none of those options. And like, you didn't ask, so like now you have to pay for that. And once in the case of, and this is like a very interesting thing, but like, and a very bizarre thing, but in the case of FANUC, if Methods buys the options and sells them to you before you take ownership of the machine, there's no questions. It just happens. If you take ownership of the machine and then go ask Methods, who then goes ask FANUC, and you do like defense work, now the Japanese government has to get involved in order for you to get those options, and you have to fill out paperwork. And if you were expecting to make parts on that machine using those options, now you're fucked.
Right.
Like,
good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a very good point that I thought of when I first saw this question. I forgot. Get an option list in general, just all of the options. It's something I didn't do with my Flex, and I regret a few little things. Like I can't remember if I talked about it on here, but like during the build, they thankfully reached out and were like, "Oh, did you want to be able to rotate your load station so that you can like access the back of a pallet?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
And so we had to pay like $6,300 out of pocket. Well, we get the machine, and then come to find out that the load station doesn't lock the pallet down, so it rocks if you like tighten it wrong.
Yeah.
Like if I tighten it. If the torque wrench is vertically and I try to tighten it sideways, it rocks the whole pallet. And come to find out, like, oh, well, that's another option. You can get a pneumatic load station that locks it. It's like, I would have paid $15,000 to have that. Like, it's already a $800,000 machine. Like, whatever, dude. And I didn't know because I didn't have an option list at all. So like, there's just all these little things that I had no idea.
Do you regret not getting the hybrid?
Yes, but I only didn't get the hybrid because at the time I was given the wrong information. Either I was given the wrong information or I interpreted it wrong, that I thought the maximum part size was smaller than it actually is. So I remember doing the math and thinking that the maximum part size would be, it was like 4.5 inches or something.
Oh,
and I wanted just over 5 inches in Z minimum to get it to work for us. And it turns out that it's like 5.5 or 5.75 or something. And it's like, that would have saved me a lot of money on pallets, a lot of money on laying. Like,
fucking cool. Like, at first I was like, damn, that like the cost seems outrageous because it's like $100,000 more or whatever. Yeah. But having seen it in action at NS and at Method, I was like, damn, that's actually like, especially for the type of shit you're doing, it's like very, very cool.
Oh, I could have had way more density. I would have had 30 vices or something, plus a couple pallets. Yeah. Our next one, whenever that happens, will be a hybrid for sure.
Yeah. End of the year. Tax reasons.
Well, we're out of space like that really at this point. Like,
goodbye standalone flip. I guess standalone 250.
Well, I think I talked to you about this. Like, the thought now is, do I add a tool tower and the automation stuff to like preemptively be ready for RoboTrex or anything else to the old one?
Right.
Or do I just sell the old one and then buy a new Gen 2 with all that stuff, automation prepped from the factory so that I can add whatever? And I'm leaning towards the second option.
I like the second option, especially because then it would give you control parity, you know?
And then we could get another 20K spindle. So we'd have the same exact air oil. We should have enough power for that still, which would be great. So, yeah, we'll see. That's all up in the air right now. I think I told you. Yeah, we're probably a month or a month and a half away from ordering a CMM, I think, at this point. So that's going to be the bigger purchase this year.
Nice.
So, yeah, we'll see. All in due time.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of answered Thomas's question already, but he says, is automation the freedom you'd hoped it would be, or is it just a way to pass more work through the shop, which is all great until something happens and then one day you're somehow a week behind? It's like he knew. In other words, since robots do in fact call in sick, is the night runability an asset or a liability at this stage, or realistically a combination of both? On the other side of the coin is, do you feel the slow rollout due to power issues helped you ease into counting on automation hours in the week? So obviously from my story earlier, yes, I climbed my peak of ignorance, quoted way too much work, figured out, how many 2 a.m. nights I can work in a week while the machine ran. Like I was running the Flex fully automated basically every night for 20 something days straight. And then also running the other C250 and a brother typically till midnight to 2 a.m. in the morning for like a week and a half or something like that. Overall, though, it's been fantastic. Like, it really is. It's so gratifying to have worked so hard for so long with automation in mind. Right. And then putting it into work, and it just works. Like, part of my presentation at Rigo was titled Before the Robot. Automation success starting today, I think was the subtitle or something like that. And I was like really kind of uncomfortable talking about automation at Rigo. And then I did some research and like kind of looked at what we had done. And at that point, when I was writing the presentation, we had automation working for 7 weeks, and we had done 52 unique part numbers in 7 weeks.
Nice.
So I was like, damn, this is working. Like it's doing all the things we wanted. So the liability was not the robot, it was me being stupid. And since then, we've just been making a ton of parts, and the stress has been much, much lower on stuff. Because I would quote something that I knew we could accomplish, but I knew there was going to be like 30 or 40 hours of runtime, and just be like, oh, great, I just need to tell my wife that it's going to be a week of late nights, and it's going to suck, and blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, oh, I might be here till 6:30 or 7, making sure that everything's running and getting a good part off. And then it's like, bye. see you tomorrow, Flex. Like,
yeah. So I guess to that point, like, what is the math? Like, how are you doing the math on the scheduling side of things? Like, to factor in like downtime and stuff like that. Like, what does that look like? And like, do you take, I'm gonna do a maximum of 20 hours in a day, and then times that by like 80%, and then that's like what I'm hoping for. In terms of, that's like what, like you just reduce the amount of like hours you're expecting it to run, and like, so like your 100% is actually like 16 hours instead of 20 hours, and then like anything above that is bonus. Or
I'm not even thinking of it
this
that granular. Really, the big things that it's changed and the things that I realized is I've had to change the way I quote and then program once we've gotten a job. That was a big one. I was so used to, like, we're basically a first in, first out shop, like, because everything's so quick turn. So I used to just quote when we get something. It's like, okay, that goes into my mental queue of like, I got to program that next to get on the machine. But what that would mean is if there was any issues with programming that were taking a long time, the machine was just sitting and not making parts overnight. And so now it's changed to, okay, I get the job, I start programming it that day. Like the second that I have a machine running, it's like, okay, get on that new job and have the program sitting in queue ready to go on the machine. That's helped a lot. I've basically just started adding a day buffer to the beginning as well. And then a lot of it is just like being less stupid and being and not just like, okay, if this works out perfectly, this is 3 days, and then I can start on that one, and that's 3 days, and it's like, okay, no, these are both 4 to 4.5 day jobs. Plan accordingly, quote accordingly. That's still why I want to do a vibe code planning and scheduling app. Is I would really love to be able to put that in so I can see that stuff.
What you're describing, it's like it is you're scheduling based on vibes for real.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it's kind of how I think everybody's doing it, you know. And it's like it's tough because you're like we should be able to get this many hours, but then the vice falls out or a tool breaks, and you're like, well, I was expecting 10 hours of runtime, which would have been like, it should have finished by the time I got here, and then whatever. And then like now you're scrambling because you just lost a whole manned shift of work, you know, during the evening.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things I've learned to check before I leave now. Like the coolant hasn't bit me yet, but I make sure to top that off every night. The big one is like if I have multiple jobs scheduled in the Hermla, there's a tasks box that you can go into, and I check and make sure that it says end of task list, because there's been once or twice now where I've had 3 jobs set up. The first one's running, and I don't check the task lists, and it turns out that one of the jobs didn't have a valid, like you need to run the program through either simulation or program simul to get a tool usage list.
All right.
So that then it can load the right tools into the magazine and blah, 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 and give you a right runtime. And there's been a couple times where it didn't have a valid tool usage list, so it just didn't run that job at all because it's not a valid job. And so I just check that task list now and make sure that it says nothing. And it's like, okay, because otherwise it'll tell me like missing this tool or no valid usage or this or that, or you need to load these pallets, and that's helped a lot. But yeah, really like just not, I don't know what was going through my head, but like just not thinking that everything's going to go perfect all the time. I was so good at it, quote unquote, before we got automation, and then I just like forgot everything. I think because I got so excited about, I got, you know, my 1 or 2 jobs run in way faster time than I thought. And I was like, oh, everything's going to be like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy street from now on.
It's you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And like there's just certain things that are going to pop up when you start automating. Like even with all the work that you're going to do, it's like the last one, like the last question is like, oh, I'm looking for predictable unattended tool life. And it's like, aren't we all, you know?
Right.
And I chatted with him last night, and I got him mostly squared away on like the tooling side of things after we talked, like, but it's like, The real question is the predictable unattended tool life, and it's like the only way you're going to get there is by breaking stuff.
Right.
Like you have to get to a number, because like what you're cutting, how you're cutting it, you know, like how long the tool is in the cut, all of these things matter. I think like a good example of things like is on like an ink canal, for instance. Like you're going to get like in 625 like 3 to 4 hours in the cut, you know, and that like you want to use like basically the cheapest tool that you can get away with getting that much life, and take as much of the flute as you possibly can, because if you take less to do the same amount of material, you're doubling the amount of time that it's in the cut. It doesn't extend the tool life at all.
Right.
It makes it worse.
Yeah.
So like you give it the business. And that's like and that's not necessarily the case in like aluminum, or it probably is, but it's like happening. You're degrading the tool on like such a longer timeline that it just doesn't fucking matter at all. And like you only know by doing the thing, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, going off of Nick's question of like, you can't get predictable tool life without breaking a bunch of tools. Like you need to break 3, 4, 5 and be like, okay, they all broke around 10 hours in the cut or around 5 hours in the cut.
Right.
I'm going to set my tool life limit at 3.5 hours and change them out then, or like 4, you know, whatever. Like, but yeah, you can't just intuit. Like you can guess, and then it might break, it might not. Like if you have a way to run unattended too, and you have a system that fails gracefully when things break, then sure, it doesn't matter. Like for me, if I was running titanium and I wasn't really worried about, like I wasn't doing anything sketchy where if the tool broke, I could damage the machine, I would just set tool life limits. I'd be like, 5 hours.
Right.
And then if it broke, I'd have sister tools, and it would just go to the next pallet and run the sister tool and know that that one broke. And then I'd go and look at the data and just be like, oh, it broke at 3.2 hours. Okay, I need to set my limits lower. Like,
right.
Cool, you know?
Done.
But you're not going to get it right the first time, period.
Yeah.
Like it just isn't going to happen.
And that's just kind of like your experience with, as you like got to real automation, is like, there are certain things that popped up that you just can't predict it until it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Lathan Mill says, Zap, what is the biggest difference between profitable shops and shops that are just getting by in your consulting experience? What did the ones who crushed have in common? Great question.
It is a really good question. I think the ones that do the best, it's such a weird one, but like the ones that just kind of aren't afraid to this, like, I don't know how to say this correctly because it's going to sound fucked up, but it's like how to spend money correctly, you know? Because you go into a lot of shops that spend money. They just fucking spend money, and like they're not making any money, right? And then you go into shops that are like super frugal, and they like might be making money, you know? But it's like I can think of a few examples, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but it's like they're so frugal that it's like, well, you're making money technically, but you have no ability to grow beyond what you're doing right now on any reasonable timeline. And it's like you're building a business around yourself, you know? Like, and so like shops that like, I think in my, like, from what I've seen is like the shops that have like a bigger, like not a bigger, but like a more robust, like admin infrastructure, kind of like do a lot. Like you take care of your employees, like you let the technical people do the technical things and the admin people do admin things. And so like people are just doing what they're good at. And then obviously good quoting, getting parts on and off the machine quickly. And like those things kind of like lead to good profitability, more or less. It's like the tough shit is like when you start to get like really cheap, you can get so frugal that you're making nothing, you know, and you're putting yourself in like this weird zone of like, I can't spend money. And then you're like, because you don't want to spend money, like you're going after lower end work. other thing on the quoting side is like, just keep fucking raising your prices until people stop giving you work. Like,
right.
Like that is like really the number one thing. Like ultimately at the end of the day without anything else is like, just keep charging more and more and more and more. Cause like until people stop, you know?
Right. And then back off a little bit.
And then back off a little bit. And kind of like just drive that. I mean, you've been playing around. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like you've been playing around with some interesting things.
Oh yeah. I'm happy to talk about it. I mean, that's kind of spurred on by the automation stuff too. Is like we are experimenting with quoting by just how many days I think it's going to work. Like I've come up with a day rate and it's like, okay, it's this, I look at a part and go, okay, I need to make 3 of those. Programming, setup, run. I think it's 2 days. 2 days times my day rate. Boom. There's my quote. And like, I think it's more accurate. Like I think parts are more expensive, but it's like I've just been cheaping out myself about a bunch of these parts because thinking like you get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, well, I think it's going to be an hour cycle time. And then like, oh, for sure, I'm going to program it in 2 hours. And then I'm going to do this. And it's like, yeah, but you're also going to go to lunch. And then you're also going to like, you know, have a coffee break and you're going to have to deal with the 3D printer at some point. And it's like, it's just 2 days. Like, it's just going to be on my brain and it's going to take my attention for 2 days.
And like, so like kind of loop it like this, you'll help me land on this, which is like, the shops that do the best are the ones that reduce the amount of friction in the overall process of the business from the admin side down to the machine side. And you've had like the machine side with the friction pretty much down to like nothing, more or less. Obviously you run into problems, but like how the workflow has very little friction in it. But the admin side is something you've been dialing in, and mostly like that's because some of the tools you use kind of suck, right? Like, and like, and that's not on you. There's just like an industry problem, more or less. And like with us, what we found is like we reduced a lot of friction on the admin side, and like how we quote, like kind of day rate is like, this is this many hours. Boom. Everything is hours. Travel hours, fixture hours. Everything's hours. Like boom, 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 boom. And you pay us right now. And that's it. And like, us reducing that friction and like not like you said, like hand wringing about it or whatever is like, oh, what about this and what about this? And it's like, this is the fucking price, take it or leave it. I'm busy. Like we'll go do something else if you don't want it. And most of the time they're like cool with it. And so like the shops that crush just kind of like have this like very like a frictionless business and like a fuckload of confidence in themselves, which is easier said than done, you know?
Would you say that the inverse of that is potentially true? Like psychologically, the companies that are so frugal to the point of getting in their own way don't charge enough because they don't feel like anything is worth money.
Right.
You know, like they're not willing to buy stuff because it's expensive, because like, oh, I can't believe a tool holder is $500 now. Like there's no way I'm going to buy Chinese ones. And then they're like, well, I can't charge $1,000 for this part because like nobody's going to pay for that. It's not worth that.
Yeah, it is like, yes, I do believe that. Like a lot actually is like people, they charge themselves like because they are cheap, they have like, they assume everybody else is cheap. And like, I remember this conversation I had with like this guy who is total asshole, but like one of the things that he said that stuck with me is like about like, you know, I kind of feel bad about this or that or the other. And he's like, why? These guys are millionaires. They're fucking billionaires. Don't fucking feel bad for them. Fuck them. And it's like, yes, that's true. Like, if they need the parts, they need the parts. And if they're going to be cheap, that means your customer sucks. And like, also, like we've gone over this. Like, I'm pretty sure ad nauseum is like, you start dealing with I mean, this is pumpkin plan shit 101, right? And I've been having this conversation with Michael because we have some like quote unquote big fish opportunities that are making the whole process like to the point where we're like potentially deviating from our process. I'm like, Michael, fuck these guys. Like, we don't need them. Like, the opportunity is good, I agree, but now we're talking about doing things outside of the system. Fuck that.
Right.
The same thing goes like going on pumpkin plan is like, if the customers suck, that means your business plan sucks. Like, you shouldn't have shitty customers. Like, you should be like, if you keep charging more and you keep losing customers, but if you like, again, like if you charge twice as much and have half the customers, you're making the same amount of money, but you have less work to do and you have less shitty customers. And if those guys suck, then you keep raising your prices until you get less shitty customers.
Well, like, I think the thing, I realized this the other day, the thing we keep forgetting to say in that loop too, is if you're doing half as much work for twice the price, you now have 50% more capacity to take on more high paying work.
Right.
So like that's where the growth opportunity when you pumpkin plan comes from. It's not that you're making more money from your customers. You are, but you're opening up your shop to having more capacity at that higher rate. You can now find customers that don't suck and will pay that higher rate and fill that back up.
Yeah, agreed. On that note, we should do a pumpkin plan revisited episode.
I love that.
I think that's, now that like we've been practicing it for probably like 2.5, 3 years now. Like, it's one of the only ones that I made Michael read it. I bring it up probably like at least once a month, if not like every other week. It's like when we start to like hone in on things, it's like we have a fucking model. If it starts to deviate, fuck them. I don't care who it is. And I'll work with now how we do business. I'll work with anybody at least once because if they pay, I'll work with them. But if they suck, that's it. They're a bad pumpkin. I don't give a fuck. Their money is not good here.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we kind of hit that one, right? Yeah.
I think so. I mean, kind of like, I guess the recap of it is, because I mean, obviously, classic tangent is. The biggest ones is I will use Jim Bolosic as an example here. He went from like nothing to over $1 million in revenue in a year. I mean, he has obviously a machine behind him, but he had a vision and he spent money where he needed to spend money and he had a fucking plan and just executed that plan. And it is like just this outrageous confidence in the ability. He knew we needed to spend money. He spent the money.
Right.
Justin and I talk about this on the Down the Rabbit Hole episodes. If you can't afford tool holders, then you shouldn't be in the fucking industry, you know? And we've done projects with shops who are using $18 Chinese carbide on Matsuras and being like, oh, these machines suck. And then we put Fraser tools in there and ran parts for fucking months without breaking in a tool. And they're like, wow, those are so good. It's like, yeah, that $100 end mill is better than the $18 end mill. You dumb fuck. Come on, man. Like, being cheap is not good. Like, being frugal, like, I'm not saying go out there and, like, leverage yourselves to the gills, but, like, having a little bit of debt to grow is not a bad thing. And, like...
Right. Well, and just recognizing where there's value. Like, there's a difference between buying the hot new thing that's gold-plated and looks fancy and just like, okay, these are established brands that bring value. And, like, you talk to anybody about a lot of these brands that we constantly bring up, and everybody's like, they're fantastic. I got no complaints except for price. And you're like, okay, you know, I guess it sucks, but I'll cry into my pile of money that I make with these tools.
Yeah,
like, that sucks.
I like repeatable processes, and repeatable processes come at a price.
Right.
That's what ultimately all the good shops are doing, is they're building very repeatable processes. Because otherwise, I've been in a bajillion shops with a ton of dudes and a ton of turnover, and the biggest thing is they have 1 or 2 programmers who are fucking assholes and they're tyrannical, and the owners of the shop don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they just let them run wild, and they're like, oh, we have such a hard time finding people. You don't. I've heard that in Boise. I have a hard time finding people. I found Charles. I found this other guy that we want to hire, who's next on our list. We found another guy who's next on our list. And it's like, we just find guys that fit for us, you know, and stuff like that. But it's repeatable processes that anybody can do, and it's not based on heroic leadership, is such a huge thing to a successful shop.
Totally. So it sounds like, to sum up your sum up, shops that have a vision 5-10 years out and that are obsessively process focused are the ones that are doing the best right now.
Yeah. I don't know about the 5-10 years out, but I think I don't know if you have a vision that's 5 or 10 years out, but I think the general aspect of just having a vision, working to the vision, and then also, I mean, this is the caveat to the caveat to the caveat, is not being like so tied to the vision. Because I mean, I've been in that position where it's like you're so tied to what you think you need to do that you start making bad choices. That's like, if it doesn't, it's like, well, for me, I'm going to move. I'm basing everything out of Boise, or I'm basing everything out of Massachusetts, or I'm basing everything out of California. And then all of those plans just blow up in my face.
Right.
And now it's like I'm based out of 3 spots: California, Boise, and Massachusetts. And I just am committed and understanding that I'm going to float between those areas the most. And then that's like how life is going to be. So having a vision, being flexible, and being super process driven is what really good shops are how they're making money.
I like it. Hexworks was asking about unattended night runs. I feel like we've kind of hit on that. Congrats on the MX330 though.
Yeah. I think we did beat that one to death.
Yeah, that horse is dead. All right. Well, then last questions of the week. You got a cam, metrology, or business tip or trick that helped you this week?
I mean, I guess continuing with what we were just talking about on the business side is just remove as much friction as you possibly can. And really, I mean, especially with like Claude Code and all this other stuff, how can you build processes? Don't be afraid to to cut bait on tools or ERP systems or whatever if they're not working for you. We have had such like massive success with just reducing a ton of the upfront friction from the business. That's made such huge gains on the back end. And if anything isn't working for you, just fucking figure a way this is where I've been having lots of conversations with Michael Morton, because we shouldn't be if you are in a spot where it's like, I have to do this, the question, why? Why do you specifically have to do this?
Right.
And what can we do to remove that? It's not that like I'm trying to work you out of the business, but we as business owners and everything, I think we're in a better position than ever because of AI tools to really work on the business and in the business at the same time, and working towards getting yourself out of the business. Because it's so hard to actually grow if you're in it all the time.
Right.
You know?
100%.
And it's like, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And you should be always asking, why? Why me? Why me? Can I train somebody? Could I offload this to software? What can I do to pull myself out of this so that I can focus on the thing that I'm actually fucking good at? Unless that thing that you have to do is what you're good at, but that's a different story. But if it's shit that's taking you away from the stuff you need to do, why? Why? What can you do to alleviate that? Can you hire somebody? I mean, that should be the last resort, right? But can you build a process so that you can hand it off to somebody that you work with? Could you automate it with an AI tool or just a piece of software, not even AI, just anything? And that's where, again, on the money side of things and what shops are doing it took Michael Morton a little while to figure this one out, is there are lots of things in a business where you will spend money and it will reduce intangible things that don't affect the bottom line directly, but will make your life so fucking easy. I would pay 10 times that amount of money because I don't have to fucking think about this anymore. And I think that people get really cheap in that area. I don't want to spend 20, 30, 40, $100 a month on this fucking thing because I can just do it myself. But what if you just didn't have to do it at all? If it's something you do every day, some accounting thing, some blah, 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 blah. It was cool to see Michael Morton say this, where he's like, because his wife handles all our books and the financing, and we were switching to puzzle.io from Xero now. And she's like, this is so much better than Xero, but it might be more expensive. And Michael Morton's like, I don't fucking care how expensive it is. If it makes your life easier, I mean, he definitely didn't say fuck, but I don't care how easy it is. If it makes your life easier and your job easier, it is worth the money. Because if we want our people and the employees and ourselves to be more effective, I don't want to say efficient because that gets weird, but we want to be more effective in what we do. So reduce friction. To sum it up.
Yeah. I guess the one tip I have is with all of the focus on efficiency and all of that, don't be afraid to also help your customers out. Walk them through prints. I've had now twice, 2 or 3 times in the last week, where we've gotten work that if I had just no quoted based on the print, we wouldn't have gotten it. There was one customer close by that wanted these parts out of 17.4, and there was this whole surface that was 5 micron profile to the datums. And I was like, dude, like,
It's a waveguide part?
no, it's not. That's the thing. Is like I knew what it was, and I was like, dude, I don't think that this is what you mean. Can we talk about this? And he was like, oh yeah, we just need that to be very concentric to the mounting diameter, but really just individually the inside and the outside because of the way that they mount these things. All right, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can hit close to that, but I just need you to understand that I'm not going to be, if I quote this, I'm not holding myself to this. We will just do best effort, and I'll do everything I can to get you as close as I can.
Right.
And I made the parts, and he's
expensive.
like, oh, these are great.
Yeah.
These are exactly what I needed.
Right.
And he really appreciated that kind of back and forth. I just had another customer that was in my shop for an hour and a half yesterday, and we went through all of his parts because he's designing this whole assembly himself, and is an engineer but doesn't have a ton of manufacturing experience, and so he can sit constantly over an hour and a half, which is like, I am so thankful that you let me come in and then we can go over this.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be making your parts, I want you to be happy with them, and B, it's just going to make my life easier. And I know this is a very obvious, very cold take, but it's nice to be nice, and it's nice to just work with your customers and be closer to them. That's the stuff that's hard to automate and hard to for a competitor to take over, is just being a good person and really working with your customers.
Right. And I will piggybacking off of that with some of the things we've said about reducing friction and charging more money and things like that, to reduce the amount of the less friction you have and the more capacity you have, it gives you time to build relationships, which is going to be more valuable than being a cheap bastard. 100% of the time is the relationship aspect of this industry is still so incredibly powerful that without it, you're so you'd be screwed,
Well, it's going to be the only differentiator as things get more and more automated. If somebody doesn't want a relationship, they'll go to Xometry, where they are blocked from talking to the shop. Though I guess now they have a chat, or I don't know, whatever. But it's the fact that my customers want that relationship that I think makes us such a choice for them. So, all right, last up, what have you been researching?
This week was the Haas stuff. The Haas Kinematic Center stuff, and that's kind of it, That's been the biggest one. We had the show, and I was mostly focused on getting that done. And I mean, this week was all Kinematic Sauce and the show for the most part. And that was it. And then just continuing to hack on CritLink and stuff, and doing the kind of Council of Claudes situation where I have this code review panel skill where it looks at it reviews the code from 16 different perspectives of new user, power user, potential investor, QA, process engineer, blah blah blah, and kind of giving an overview summary and of the whole code base based on that, which is always good. And then also I've been using this thing, I don't know, I mean, whatever it is, a library called Playwright, which will, if once it's installed, Claude can take screenshots of the UI as it's built, and then and you can be review it, look at take screenshots, look at the screenshots, and does this look right? How does it look also from these perspectives based on the screenshots that you're taking, which is pretty slick. And then it can also do cooler UI things like for CritLink or for Kinematic Sauce, like being able to like walk people through stuff on screenshots that it took.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I guess have been doing a lot of AI stuff as well, and like so a lot of mine's been the Gadget stuff and trying to power my now Raspberry Pi and cool it and design a new housing for it and all that stuff has been fun. Yeah, finding the Council of Claudes thing in Claude Code was a big thing. You can now, if you have it in VS Code or whatever, if you go to the slider that tells it like how hard to work, if you go up above maximum effort, it goes to ultra plus Xcode, and you can tell it to convene a council to review its decisions.
Yeah.
Which is just hilarious to be able to type to Claude. It's just like convene the council and decide on this. But also like it spins up 7 agents or something like that, plus a head of the council to review all of their findings. And it's led to much better decision making. Like when I get to a fork in the road that I don't fully understand, like if we get to a fork in the road that's technically based, where it's like, do you want to do this or do you want to do this? It's like, I don't know either of them. Let's have the council review the code base and talk about it amongst themselves and be adversarial, and then you give me the bullet points. Right. That's been really, really helpful. Really, really helpful. So yeah, I think that's what I got. Cool.
Oh, one last thing. I got Dungeon Crawler Carl build. I don't know if you've seen those books, but those books have been all over my Instagram. And I mean, it's just like how the algorithm works, but like I've ripped through like 3.5 books in like a week. They're really good. They're really good. I mean, it's very much my shit of like a lit RPG, but they're very digestible, and the audiobooks are fucking incredible.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna have to start reading them then. I keep getting it recommended over and over and over. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just pick one up.
I was like, how has this not found me before? You know, like
I think I haven't started them yet because typically I read on my e-reader, and I think Dungeon Crawler Carl is, if you want the digital book, it's only on Kindle, which I don't have.
Yeah.
But what I need to do is just get a library card because I think I can check it out digitally from my local library and just read it that way.
Libby.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to start reading that because I know there's a series now that they just greenlit with Seth MacFarlane heading it, so I'm sure it'll be pretty good. Oh yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah, awesome, man. Well, great catching up. We will do this probably in another couple weeks instead of a month and a half. Yeah. And thank you to everyone for listening. Really appreciate it, especially over the last month or two where I've been a little spotty with releases. Things are going to get better. We're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. Big thanks to new Patreon member Griddles. People like you and everybody else on the Patreon make this show possible. Now 2 shows possible. And thank you all for listening. I will be back next week.